Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me in studio. But let's maybe talk about this exhibition and explain the concept of Brother Moves On. Sebonga?
The Brother Moves On is a collective of artists. There's about 5 of us when we play as a band, but otherwise it's fluctuating in number. Hence the name that the Brother Moves On, so members come and go. So we're a band that sometimes is an art collective that sometimes is a band.
That's quite an interesting thing. It means it means it's constantly fluid. It's constantly open to new ideas. It's constantly interpreting subject matter from a very different perspective. Am I right?
Yeah, depending on which members are a part of the collective. I mean, the sound and the ideas that come into the space obviously change. So it's never one thing. It's always sort of migrating towards something else, but still maintaining its form, either as the performance art collective or as the band.
Yeah, that's quite complex. Let's talk about the name behind the exhibition, Hlabelela. It's a new Mourning Nkush. Nkush, how did that come about, and what was the debate around? And I often ask this question, especially around collectives, when you have to kind of find an identity within the name.
Well, Nkush is our founder and my little brother who passed away 3 years ago. Okay. So the whole exhibition is a celebration of the collaborative spirit, in which how he created this happening in its essence. It's a New Morning was a factor that we were about to release our debut album and he passed away.
Oh.
And we never toured the album, we never did anything with it because we couldn't find the space within to do it. And then when we came back, we realized the arts has no space for death. Unless you're prepared to play music that people can dance to. Yeah. No one's interested in dealing with the cathartic issue that all of us have to deal with in essence, which is death. Oh. So we wrote a song called A New Morning that's written by Nans, who's Nkush's little cousin. And mourning is not meaning like mourning live, but mourning as the act of grief, really, in essence, and dealing with grief. So the whole exhibition is about how we deal with this issue of grief as an art collective.
Yeah, but there's something really powerful that you said now, that the art doesn't allow for mourning, doesn't deal with that in any way. How do we address it in a way that does make it palatable, though? And maybe it's the wrong use of words, but how do you address it in a way that art can deal with it?
I think it's a lot to do with this country and our fear of our real black rituals, really, in essence. So if you take 94, we didn't slaughter for John Foster Square. We didn't. So there's this idea of black culture and or emotion having to be palatable to a commercialized setting and not in essence being something that in itself maybe the audience should make it palatable and not the performers. Maybe the performers should be going through this issue of grief in the same way.
And Itani, let me bring you into that because you look like you got some thoughts on it. Yeah.
I don't think you can make it palatable. Like it is what it is, and I really think that we shouldn't hide away behind these different forms of, like, you know, whether like sort of making grieving a comfortable process or not. It is what it is. It's not.
It's not. It's horrible. It's not. Nobody wants it.
Yeah, but we all have to go through it.
What is this journey that you want me, an ordinary person, to go through this exhibition?
Well, what we're trying to play off in this exhibition is that a gallery needs not be a white space for people with lots of money to come and engage with. So we're trying to make the space accessible, firstly for our audience, and secondly for family orientated people who want to engage in the arts, because we've been the cool kids who are able to play in the dark and dingy clubs. Now we want to engage with a space that's other to that. So we'd like you to walk away with like emotional currency that you've taken away that makes you feel as if this conversation is a conversation we're all having.
You are the cool kids. Are you playing away from the dark and dingy spaces? Or is that still part of who you are?
We play everywhere and anywhere. I mean, like, we just came back from Europe, but I don't think that makes us like any more, you know.
Yeah, the thing is, we were made by the streets that made us, and as much as we go and play these spaces, it always reminds you what you were doing if you go back to them.
I mean, obviously, as a collective, this is a constant topic. You're always talking about, even I'm sure as this exhibition will be in its fruition in an open space, there are always ways that you can make it better, and that you can only unfortunately experience that once it interacts with an audience. How mindful are you of that it constantly needs to improve, it constantly can be better?
every day. We were doing modifications yesterday,
Yeah.
for today's run, you know. So it's always, we're always finding a different way of approaching it, a different way of making it more expressive of the whole concept.
Very quickly, if anybody's watching, where can they go?
Goodman Gallery today, 6 p.m. It's free. Bring your kids. It will be very enjoyable. It will be nothing like you've ever experienced, we promise.
Fantastic. We're going to leave it there. Siyabonga Mthembu and Itani Telefi from the movement, The Brother Moves On band. Go and take a look. It's at the Goodman Gallery. Go check it out. Google the details. Take your family, take your friends, take the enemies. It'll bring you together. You take a break. Don't go anywhere.